Hey everyone, Thomas Lord here, your Central Florida Realtor, and welcome to the Osceola County Real Estate Market Update for June 2026. If you've been wondering whether home prices are crashing, inventory is exploding, or interest rates are finally coming to save the day, well, let's talk about what the numbers are actually saying. We'll break down what's happening in St. Cloud, what's happening across Osceola County, and what it means whether you're buying, selling, or just being nosy about your neighbor's house value. Let's start with St. Cloud. Compared to April, we saw fewer closed sales in May, dropping from 400 to 370. New listings also slipped a bit, from 249 to 228. The median sales price stayed remarkably steady, moving from $404,000 to $399,000. The biggest takeaway? The market isn't falling apart. It's actually showing signs of stability. Think of it like driving through a school zone. We're moving slower than before, but we're still moving forward. Now let's zoom out and look at Osceola County as a whole. Closed sales dipped slightly from 1,214 to 1,099. New listings fell from 675 to 599. The median sales price moved from $390,000 to $385,000. Again, we're seeing a market that is slowing, not crashing. If you're waiting for home prices to suddenly drop by 30%, you may be waiting longer than it takes for turnpike traffic to clear up. One statistic that's impossible to ignore is price reductions. So far this year in St. Cloud, we've seen 1,259 total listings. Of those, 491 homes sold after a price reduction. That's nearly 40% of all homes sold. What does that mean? It means sellers who start too high are finding out pretty quickly that buyers have options. Today's buyers are paying attention. If a home is overpriced, they simply move on to the next one. Pricing correctly from day one matters more now than it has in years. Inventory in St. Cloud continues to rise. Last May, we had about 4 months of inventory. This May, we're sitting around 5 months. Now that's important because inventory is what gives buyers choices. More inventory means buyers can take their time, compare homes, and negotiate a little harder. We're not in a buyer's market yet, but we're definitely moving away from the wild seller's market we saw a few years ago. Osceola County is showing the same trend. Inventory has increased from 7 months last year to roughly 7.5 months today. That means competition among sellers is increasing. For buyers, that's good news. For sellers, it means the old strategy of putting a sign in the yard and expecting 10 offers by dinner time is no longer the game. The National Association of Realtors recently revised their forecast. Existing home sales are now expected to grow by about 4%. New home sales are forecast to decline slightly. Mortgage rates are expected to stay around the mid-6% range. Here's the key point. Experts are no longer expecting some giant wave of lower interest rates to rescue the market. Instead, they're expecting steady prices and gradual improvement. Not exciting, perhaps, but healthy. Speaking of rates, mortgage rates have remained stubbornly elevated. And yes, that slowed down home sales. But here's what many buyers miss. Even with higher rates, home prices have continued to rise because inventory remains limited. In other words, waiting hasn't necessarily made homes cheaper, it's just changed how people pay for them. This slide explains why prices continue to hold up. While buyers are still active, fewer homeowners are putting their homes on the market. Many owners have mortgage rates in the 2 to 4% range and simply don't want to give those up. So even though demand has cooled, supply remains tight. It's like trying to buy front row concert tickets when nobody wants to sell theirs. Nationally, home prices are still rising, but at a much slower pace. We're no longer seeing the double-digit appreciation we saw during the pandemic years. Instead, we're seeing more normal growth, and honestly, that's a good thing. A healthy market isn't one where prices shoot up like a rocket. It's one where values grow steadily and sustainably over time. National inventory has been increasing for 4 straight years. That's helping bring more balance back to the market. Buyers have more choices. Sellers face more competition. And overall, the market is becoming more normal. For anyone who entered real estate after 2020, this may actually be the first normal market you've ever seen. Our final slide looks at price growth around the country. The Sun Belt, including Florida, remains one of the strongest regions for long-term demand, but growth has cooled from the rapid pace we saw a few years ago. Meanwhile, some northern markets are seeing stronger short-term appreciation. The lesson here is simple. Real estate is local. What's happening nationally doesn't always match what's happening in Osceola County or St. Cloud. That's why local market knowledge matters. So what's the bottom line for June 2026? Inventory is rising. Price growth is slowing. Mortgage rates remain elevated, but home values are holding steady. For buyers, there are more opportunities and more negotiating power than we've seen in years. For sellers, proper pricing and strong marketing are more important than ever. If you're thinking about buying, selling, investing, or simply want to know what your home might be worth in today's market, give me a call. I'm Thomas Lord, your Central Florida Realtor, and I'll see you in the next market update.